Okay, so this is going to be a video on how I got this particular look. So this wig was the wig that RPG Show had sent, and it was 20 inches. I had went ahead, and if you're going to do a middle part, make sure you kind of put your middle part where you want it to be. I put mine as a side part because I had just did a middle part. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and cut the wig. You don't want to have to bleach and dye and waste all this money on hair that you're just going to cut off. So I went ahead and did a scissor cut. You could do this with the clippers as well, but I just did this just because it's easier for me. It just doesn't get hair everywhere. So as you can see now, I pretty much have a bob, an uneven bob, but I have a bob. So again, I cut this longer than I intended to wear it just because of the simple fact that I was going to go ahead and bleach it, as you guys will see further in the video. If you want to keep it this length, then my advice to you would just be to make sure that you just even it all out. So when you have clippers, these are my Conair ones. I think they were like $20. You can take them and just go ahead and cut the hair, and this way you can end up with a very even cut without having to take the time out to make sure your cutting is right and all that. Anybody could do this. As you can see, it's very, 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 very blunt. And this is the look that I was going for. So I just went ahead and got a rough estimate of how long it would be, and this wasn't perfect just because of the simple fact that I knew I was going to cut it shorter. I just wanted to kind of get a ballpark, I guess you could say, figure of how short it was going to be. It ended up being shorter than what I intended it to be, which was fine by me because my last bob was around this length that this one is once I finish this particular side. So as you can see, you just go through and try to even it up as much as possible. This is a very, very good way for those who are just not very well in understanding the over directing, the under directing, you know, the on base, off base of how you actually cut some hair. So this is actually a great alternative. It's very inexpensive. Would I do this with regular clippers? Depending on if you can use them or not. I use these just because I feel like a lot of people will understand it. It's just there's no guards. You just go in and even it out as much as you can. Just be careful because it's very easy to keep cutting every time you see that it's not even, and then before you know it, you're gonna end up with a like that Remy Ma length, which for me is too short. You know, that Kelly Rowland where it's just blunt and it's real short. It's on the side of your cheeks. It's higher, you know, it's higher than your jawline. That's not cute to me. So here, and you also got to remember that it's still hair up underneath, and you want all of this to be the same length. Once you go ahead, which like I like to do with my blunt, I like to go ahead and press the bottoms a little bit with the flat iron so they kind of curve in just ever so slightly, and then you're gonna kind of get longer pieces in the beginning. So if you've seen in my actual review that I did for this, you can see that my hair was a little bit longer up underneath, and that's only because of the way that I actually bumped it. And as you can see, I noticed that one side was still longer than the other one. So you just keep going at it until things start to be easy, because it's very easy for your eyes to be tricked to believe that it's all one length until you actually really just sit back and look at it. And always look at it from the back, because if you look at it from the front, chances are you even the front out very well, but it probably has a slight dip in the back where it'll dip down and come back up on the sides. So just keep that in mind. Now this is where, you know, it got real. Okay, so at this particular point, I'm like, all right, I'm good. I know what I want. I'm good. I'm gonna keep it in the side part. I planned to wear this hair in its natural state, and then at the last moment, I decided to change it. So here, what I'm doing is I decided before I did it I was gonna flat iron it. The reason why I did this is because I wanted to make sure that it was as straight as possible before I actually had to cut it again. So if after I bleached this, I didn't want to end up in a situation where I'm like, okay, I cut it too short, because I thought it was, you know, long enough, but I didn't flatten it right. So I just went through, and I didn't do everything, but as you can see here, I'm kind of taking out extra little pieces that I didn't get once before. Like there's a longer piece right there that I didn't get, which you thought was gone and it ain't. So you just go ahead, I flattened it out, and then I just took the clippers and then cut it off. But yeah, you could do this. I usually just do the top of it just so that I can make sure that everything is as flat and as straight as I need it to be. I don't really go through the whole head around because I don't want to, I'm already about to put bleach on it, so I don't want to end up where my hair is over processed, it's bleach, it's crazy. So as you can see, you just go ahead and take it and cut it and you're good. And this is for people who are just starting out and you don't really know too much about, you know, the fundamentals of actually cutting. You can use this as a bit of a guideline. And it does make your, no matter what color you use, if you don't use the smoke blue, you do pink, you do orange, you do, you know, you stay 1B, you go jet black, midnight blue, whatever. What it will do is it makes your entire, just everything you do so much neater. When you get them ends off, man, it just makes it look like you are the best stylist in the world. As you can see here, I'm just go ahead and neatening everything up like I want it to be, so everything is the same length. Everything needs to be perfect, because this is one of those styles, unless you curl it, that everybody's gonna know if it ain't even or not, which is the worst ever. And I didn't use any hairspray on this particular look. I just used my flat iron spray, which is a conditioning spray as well. So what it does is it helps the hair, before I even put bleach on it, what it's going to do is it's going to make sure that the hair is as lustrous as possible, so it can retain some moisture once I go in. This is what I did. I like to use an electric pressing comb when I do my units, just because I can control the heat a little bit better, and it just gives me a very, very flat install. So here, I'm going back. It's going to take a while. So here is where I started the bleaching process, and of course, you know, I didn't record everything, but you guys get the basic gist of this. And this is when I was using some different bleach. So I should have used the bleach which I'm using now, which is the Quick Blue by L'Oreal, which I love to death. But this particular bleach, it took a minute to lift, and I was going for more, originally it was going to be like a really dark blue, so I didn't want to leave it on too long, and then in the midst of all of this I just pretty much I like changed my mind. So that's why the variants of blonde changed throughout this look, because I was kind of doing it as I went. And then you're just going to go ahead and saturate the entire head. This particular unit is a lace front, not a full lace wig, so the tracks in the back, you have to make sure that you saturate those tracks that are sewed to that cap with bleach, because if you don't and you plan on wearing this in a style that is not, let's just say, a darker color, when the wind blows or you do scratch your head or you do part it a certain way, it will be very noticeable. So keep that in mind. And here, I think this was probably the second application, so now I'm going from the roots at this point. And I'm just making sure that everything is saturated, but it was just because of the simple fact that I just didn't like the consistency that I made this bleach, so the actual color wasn't, the turnout wasn't what I wanted it to be. But I'll be doing this again in a different color, so you'll see what I was going for originally. Although I did love the outcome of this. I did, because it wasn't super bright, it was toned down, but it was still something I really liked. Here, this is what I decided to do. At this particular point, I said I'm gonna put like 8 different tones in this hair. So I'm gonna make sure that some areas are darker, and hence why, like in the middle of this, there's no bleach, and then on the sides there's less bleach, and at the top there's more. So it was gonna give like a reverse ombre look, is what was gonna eventually happen, which ended up happening. But I just didn't want it to be all one solid tone, and I just didn't want to end up in a situation where I hated the color. Like it was one solid color that I just hated, and then I would have to go back and do different levels of color. Like here's the thing. If you dye the hair, whatever it is, and you put levels in it as you lift it, once you put the color on, the color will deposit in these levels automatically. So if some parts are lighter blue and then some parts are darker blue, when you put a regular blue on it, they're going to automatically be those colors. So this is the result of what I got, which I was completely fine with. And I said, okay, but you can see in the middle, it's like a 613, then on the outskirts, it's more like a honey blonde. So I decided to use this L'Oreal color I got it from Target. It was like buy two, I think it was buy two, get a $5 gift card. So I brought 4. I ended up with a $10 gift card, which then I ended up using that for something else. So just follow directions. It's very easy. Just have to let it sit and deposit. With hair like this, and especially when I'm doing wigs, which I always do, I like to leave this color on for at least overnight. To me, it seems like the color is richer. It stays a little bit better. It has a longer lasting power, in my personal opinion. If you don't want to do that, that's completely up to you. It has a time limit on the actual applications. The thing about this particular hair color is after a while, it does stop working. So it does have a time limit on it. But I find if you just leave the hair saturated, the hair follicles will start to suck up the color a little bit more, and it will start to look a little bit richer. So that's why, if you notice at the end, I'll bring it up again, why my hair looks so much richer in certain areas than it does others. So here is just the daunting task of going through each strand, each section. I used all 4 boxes, even though this is just a bob, but I did want to just saturate all of the hair. The great thing about this is because it is a lace front wig, is that I was able to not have to worry about every little intricate piece of trying to make sure I didn't get any on the lace. I only had to worry about that just towards the front.
The problems, but if you don't talk, then I can't solve them. All of your friends, why would you involve them? Going in circles like a revolving door. Phones ringing, times of the night when we should be sleeping. Got a premonition like you've been sneaking. Don't want to believe, maybe I'm just thinking. Listen hard, from that round I go. Keep what I feel down on the low. Skating out for me, girl, got to show. Inside, baby, I just don't know. From that round I go. Keep what I feel down on the low. Skating out for me, girl, time to show. Way I feel inside, baby, I just don't know. The other day you were at the job and I called you hoping that we go out when you told me not now. Said you were fouling. I started smiling. It's after 9. Baby, I'm trying to find the problems. But if you don't talk, then I can't solve them. All of your friends, why would you involve them? going in circles like a revolving door. Phone's been ringing, time's been ringing. Bleach, sleeping, got a premonition that you've been sneaking. I don't wanna believe it. Maybe I'm just thinking a little too hard. I'm that round I go, keep what I feel down on the.
Where you just saturate all of the, you see like here, I just opened another bottle, and you're just gonna put as much as you can to saturate every last strand, because this is a color, and a color is gonna have a lot of color variance. You want to make sure that you are generous in every section, just so that you don't end up with any patchiness, because like I told you once before, it is a bob and I use 4 boxes, but I use 4 boxes to ensure that I wouldn't have any spottiness or patchiness or anything like that. This is where I got towards the front, and pretty much this is all the same I'm doing. I'm just going through each section. I didn't record the washing process just because you guys see me do it a million times. If you watch me bleach knots, then it's the same difference. And I use regular shampoo and conditioner. Well, I actually used the conditioner that they gave me in the box, and then I used just regular shampoo. I didn't use purple shampoo because I didn't want my hair to end up being like crazy lavender. So I just kept it very basic and made sure it stayed the smoky blue color. Sometimes if you use other stuff for like blonde hair and your hair is not blonde, you'll end up with staining, which I didn't want to do. And this is what I got when all was said and done. So as far as the cutting goes, I cut it a little bit shorter, and then I went ahead and flat ironed it, bumped it, put it on. And I wore like 3 or 4 days like this, and then this was me after I had washed it again and redid it. So if you guys are interested, I'll put the link to the review below. I hope this helped you. It's very simple, especially for those who are starting out. It's very simple. Try it, let me know how it turned out, and I will catch you guys in my next one. Peace.